Hello, welcome to the OverShadow Shadowcast with your host Thomas Anderson and Abigail Mort.
Welcome back. My
Okay.
voice went very high there. I honestly did not intend for it to be that high.
Hmm. Um, how are you?
I'm alright. It's been very warm today.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the gym, being
Mm-hmm.
productive. I apparently burned roughly around 400 calories,
What's that?
half my breakfast.
Hmm.
I ate 3 scrambled eggs.
How much? How much Mars bars is that?
I don't know. I've actually not had a Mars bars in years. You know that.
A Mars bars.
I've not had a Mars bars in the years I've not had a Mars bars.
Um. Well done on going to the gym.
I also went for a walk yesterday.
Giving you a thumbs up.
Yay!
What
I've
have
been
you been?
sorry, I was just about to say I've been feeling really sluggish today. Have you been feeling really sluggish?
Yeah.
Just leaving a slime trail no matter everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a sticky day.
I did a really tedious task today where at the moment we have to draw a bean growing every single day. And so I thought today I would do that, but we also have to do like GIFs, like a GIF maker,
Yeah.
GIF,
GIF.
GIF.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I will do the drawing and also take a picture of it and turn it into a GIF. So something which would normally take me half an hour took me an hour. A long, tedious hour. And the outcome wasn't what I wanted it to be. I was so annoyed.
Why don't you make some video game ones?
Yeah, I could actually do that. I might actually do it with my SNES.
Hmm?
Like a little cartridge moving about and going into the actual thing and switching it on.
Well, that's. I don't think a GIF has to be like that. It can just be.
No, but that's something I can do.
Right, but that's specifically like a sort of. Is it
Stop
motion?
motion. Stop motion.
Stop motion, that's the one I'm looking for, not motion capture. Stop motion, so why. It doesn't have to be motion capture, does it?
No, it could really be anything. We could just play about with it.
Mm.
So I might as well. But the problem is the one that they've asked us to use. It won't work on my phone for some reason, like the app.
Right.
So I'm limited to what I can actually accomplish compared to what everybody else is able to. I can't add, to the best of my knowledge, I can't add text and things like that. I can use the app. The app works, but I can't download it. I can't save it as a video file.
Can you use your computer and make a GIF? Why?
I don't know how, but also it's so tedious, like having to try and upload the videos onto my laptop, onto my computer, because I could only send so many over email.
Right. You can just plug it in, can't you?
Yeah, but the problem is it takes about 20 minutes to do that.
How?
It just does.
Oh. It just does.
Well, I don't know why it does. It just takes that long.
Okay.
It's a rubbish phone.
You're fired.
You're fired. You're fired as my technological advisor.
I'm moving you to Justice Secretary.
I'm moving you to the bathroom. You are now toilet attendant.
Alright, that's
You
my
squish,
job.
you
I thought I
squish
was
the
gonna have
cologne
to-
at people.
I thought I was going to have to sue you. Why am I being dragged into the bathroom? What's going on? Help!
Give you a bunch of swirlies.
Oh yes. That's where I was going
I've
with that.
never heard of anybody at that actually happening to anybody. You know that where they have
Bogwash.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. I've never seen it actually happen or heard of it happening. Anyway, we'll stick it into our lives.
I had a story. Me and friends at school were making a video of superheroesness, just for a laugh. We're faffing about, and my character was just a regular person, so I just kept getting the absolute excrement kicked out of me. So there was one point where I got tied to a chair. There's another point where I I got my head dunked in a bucket of ice water, and it was so funny because you could clearly see in the shot that the ice was all shaped like orange wedges.
Is that all you had? You didn't have actual ice. You had to use frozen ice. Like, is
No, no,
that,
no, no.
these
They
are
were
these are
ice,
ice.
but
They look
they
like
were
orange.
ice,
Yeah,
but they were in the shape of an
yeah.
orange
That's what I
wedge
meant.
with like
Yeah.
all the wee bits on them. So they weren't orange. They were made of water, but it was just.
So what have you been playing?
Assassin's Creed Origins, Divinity Original Sin, Halo.
Choose one to speak of.
I'm going to say one thing about Divinity.
Okay.
It's weirdly balanced. It naturally guides you to where you need to be, but only in a really obvious, limited way. So if you run up to a certain city door and try to leave, and it's
Mhm.
too high a level, the guard will say, "Maybe you shouldn't go that way.
I am giving you quite a big hint of.
Maybe you shouldn't go that way. Maybe you're not ready for that yet." Whereas other times you can,
I suggest this direction for you, good
yeah,
sir.
that sort of thing. But when it comes to actually pointing out, like, context-wise in the story, the journal needs a bit of work because I feel a little bit lost in what I'm supposed to do. But, we'll explore the map and we'll figure it out. But when it comes to the fights, they're really weird. You can't fight anybody who's a higher level than you, you'll get blootered. And you can't fight people that are the same level as you, there's just too many of them, because you'll get blootered. Because all it takes to ruin your day is one of your people to get killed.
Yeah.
So we went into a fight with some zombies, and we think, but we're not sure, that because my brother used a lightning attack, it caused other zombies to appear out the ground. But we're not sure.
That makes
And
sense.
basically, yeah, but we don't know, and that's what's annoying. And basically, how, we don't really understand the meta mechanics of the game, so we don't really know when we're supposed to be in a fight and when we should be trying to avoid it.
So there's no real clear I was supposed to say indication, but that's not a word.
Indication, it's a
Indication.
contextual indication of when a fight. I mean, you can tell if the guy's really high level. Oh, load it back up. That was a problem. But when it comes to the issue of what to do about fights where you're the same level, it's kind of obvious. The first fight we got into was too hard for us, but we had no way of knowing that till we were in it. And I don't think a game should be designed around around the concept of, yeah, you just get killed if you pick a fight you can't win. There's got to be some way for you to know that.
Yeah.
Whereas other fights that look harder to begin with are actually easier and we're fine in them. It's really weird. It's really strange. Just try to work out what fights we're supposed to be in. And I think it's because we're a low level. I think at a higher level we'll have more spells, more attack options, and because we'll have more options, we'll be able to cover ourselves more easily.
Mm-hmm.
But at the minute, because we're a lower level, if something happens, we don't have a mega attack to get us out of trouble, or
Mega
a
attack!
heal, or like something that causes everybody to have heightened dodge or defense so we don't take damage, or just other options. For example, I think a lot of the really powerful moves that my brother has, they take like, with his two characters, they take like 6 or 7 turns to come back.
Oh wow.
So with more options, he's able to use those every turn. He can use a really powerful attack every turn. But because we're a low level, it's more of a, here's my mega attack, and now I'm tired. And it's, yeah, I just think that we're in a sort of no man's land of feeling lost in the game at the minute. But I kind of think we'll get through that.
Yeah.
It's taking a lot of save scumming because of the fact there's no contextual clues.
That's not great. I hate stuff like that. I hate the fact that when they don't give you clues and you're like a bit like aimlessly wandering around type of thing.
Well, it's giving us clues of where we need to be and roughly what missions we're doing. And the journal does tell you what missions you're on, what quests you're on, but it's just this idea of, I don't know why that group of zombies we attacked over there suddenly had twice as many people. And
Yeah.
so I don't know when we can actually fight them. And it's that sort of thing,
Yeah.
At what point have we? I can roughly work out what area of the map we should be in, but what I can't work out is why some groups of enemies are too difficult for us to fight, and also why we came across this guy who was a level 5 guy with, like, we've got like 180 points of health of 150. This guy had nearly 400,
Jeez.
and he was able to summon a couple of helpers just over and over again. Like, there's no way we can win that. But I have no idea why this guy's particularly level 5 or how I was supposed to know that before the fight started. And what I did notice was it had auto-saved before, so we could load up the autosave. So it's sort of like the harder difficulties are there for you if you've already played the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Iron Man modes where if you die, that's it.
Yeah.
Or you get one save file. So it's just a bit. I, I think that's the sort of thing they tighten up, to be honest, in the second one, because there is a second one.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's probably what they end up fixing, because it just feels it's D&D in a video game, but the problem is that you're not able to speak to the dungeon master. So
It's not
those
as fun.
contextual clues, no, it's not that, it's fun, but it's just the contextual clues aren't there.
Yeah.
When they say you see these four great big hulking beasts snarling and they've just killed hundreds of thousands of people and they've got magic bolts and they can fly and they're all Superman and they have lightning bolts from their eyes and they fart fire, and they can put in all these contextual clues to make you think maybe we're not ready for this yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't happen in this. You just suddenly are in a fight, which is fine. You wouldn't be able to run up to the bad guys who are wanting to attack you as soon as they see you and just go, oh, right, sorry, bye, and run away. But I think it's just missing a little bit of that. And I think it might just be the fact we're a low level.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that at one point my brother did try to flee a fight and his character fled, but the other three remained. And we don't know why that happened. We just, So we had to load it up again. It's just. I think it's maybe just a learning experience because we're new to the game, but also low level.
Yeah.
But we'll just have to wait and see.
It's like, they have left us. I wonder why that is. Shall we just stand around and just wait? Yes, we shall. We shall not follow them.
Well, he just vanished. He disappeared to like the other side of the map. The three of us were just the three guys left were just like. I think he was in control of one of his characters in the fight. And I was in control of my two that were still in the fight, but he had somehow, his character specifically had somehow left. It was weird. And what I'd say about Assassin's Creed Origins that I've been playing is that it's the same issue. Like I was trying to farm an achievement yesterday about saving rebels that have been imprisoned.
Yeah.
It turns out that if you turn on I've turned on the auto leveling to make the game as difficult as possible.
Yeah, you've said before.
But if you turn that on, the game removes rebels from captivity and puts in civilians, so they don't count towards the achievement. So to get the achievement, you have to turn off auto leveling.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, but I went in and I had spent 3 hours farming this until I realised my mistake.
Oh, that is
I looked that up. I turned it
heartbreaking.
off, walked straight into the first place with rebels, opened 2 of the 7 cages, got the achievement. I had 18 out of 20 when I turned it on. Like 60 hours ago or something like that. In fact, it's more like 70 or 80,
That is.
if not more.
I hate it when I was playing a game and I didn't realize about 2 hours into it I missed like loads of special stuff, and if I didn't get those special stuff I wouldn't 100% complete it. So I had to restart it all over again. So I do feel your frustration in that, where it's like you spent hours doing something and
It just doesn't make sense why they would. I mean, I kind of maybe argue from the point of view that if you free rebels, they'll fight back, so it could be seen as you getting help, which means the game is artificially a little bit easier. Therefore, they replace them with civilians who won't fight back. But no, I still don't get that.
no.
If you've linked it to an achievement, I don't see why you would do that and not say to people. It's weird. It's really, really strange. And I think that really sums up the game, is that it's sort of like a collection of decisions and they've not really. Like, it's listed as a DLC achievement, but apparently you can get it by playing the main game. It's just, you know what it is? It's a game where they've made a lot of right decisions, but they've just not. It feels like it wasn't entirely. Like, some really, really smart people made the design choices,
Yeah.
and then some really, really not smart people came along and said, yes, but don't test them properly. That's really what it feels like.
Like they've
Like, it's just not quite. It's not sharp.
Yeah, I think you've spoken before about the fact that it's just not crisp enough.
It's not. It's not sharp. It's not crisp. It's not responsive enough. It's.
It's lackluster a little bit.
There are points in this where when you press the button and he does everything you want him to do, you're essentially immortal. There's other times where it's just, no, you're dead. It's just not doing what you want, or it's set up in such a way that you're fighting bad guys of a certain format that you can't possibly win. Like, there's a couple of guys running around on horses shooting you, another guy's charging you down with a big shield and an axe. There's another guy with a big axe on a sword on a horse, so he's just
On a
charging you all the
sword.
time. It's just it's it's I personally believe that the previous games did a better job of allowing you to fight multiple enemies at once in a way that made you feel cool, but you were being tested. I know a lot of people complained that it was ridiculous, but you'd still had to get it right to be able to win, and if you didn't, you lost.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a lot more like, oh, they've just randomly spawned in 67 guys, and I can't possibly win this. What am I? And if I run away, they all just shoot me. So what am I supposed to do here? Also, if you activate your adrenaline surge attack, which in my, because I've leveled my guy up, if it kills with that hit, you can take the other person's weapon and chuck it at someone, and that's a one-hit kill. If you get hit during an adrenaline surge attack, it knocks you out of it, but the bar goes away. So I can be doing an adrenaline surge attack, kill the guy. I'm waiting to, I'm waiting for him to do the automatic thing I don't have control over, where he gets the weapon and then throws it.
Yeah.
And then the guy on the horse will just come by and chop me, and I'll lose it. I'm not allowed to throw the weapon anymore. The one that really got to me was when I did the attack. I was waiting to throw. I realised the guy I was throwing it at had like half health and he was really easy to kill. No point. Turned the camera to the much harder guy to kill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to throw this sword into you. Now, you'd think that either it was going to throw it into the first one because it had locked to him, or it would let me move it to the second one. Would you like to guess what it did?
It locked you to the second one.
Nope, because that's what I wanted it to do.
Sorry, it locked you to the first one.
Nope. It just allowed me to throw it randomly out into the wild.
Be free!
Yeah, I just threw his sword away into the bushes. I have no idea why that
Useless
happened.
sword.
I genuinely don't think I've ever seen that happen. The guy was right in front of me. I was hitting RB and he just throws it into the bushes. It's not. I said this to James. It's like the scatter shot in Halo 5. It's not consistent. You either kill from the entirety of the map with one shot, or you can put it in the guy's mouth, pull the trigger, and he's just like, missed me. It's just really inconsistent.
It just
And
sounds
that's how I
so
would put
frustrating.
this.
It sounds so frustrating. This sounds like a really infuriating game.
You know how in Halo, the most inconsistency you'll get is like, do you know we were playing a bit of Halo and we sniped some elites in the head?
Yeah.
Sometimes they survive because their shields were strong enough to deflect the round. But that depends on the quality of the enemy, where exactly you hit them in the head, do they know you're there, that sort of thing. You can expect it, you can see it coming.
Yeah.
You can basically judge what's going to happen because it gives you the contextual clues and it gives you the rules. In this one, it would be like pulling out a pistol in Halo, putting it to the grunt's head and pulling the trigger. On any difficulty, that should kill the grunt if you get a headshot.
Yeah.
This is more like pull the trigger, bang, it just hits the floor to your right hand side for no reason. What's that? So you chuck a grenade, boom, confetti comes out, there's no explosion. You fire a rocket, it turns into a bouquet of flowers. You're just like, what is going on here? That's what it's like. It's just totally inconsistent. Whereas, as I said, Halo, entirely consistent.
Yeah. Mad. It just sounds mad. See if that
Well,
was
one of
me.
the
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, one of the things they did with the first Halo game, that's why I'm saying Halo is consistent, but Halo 5 isn't, is that Halo, the first game, they wanted all the weapons balanced.
Yeah.
That's why the plasma rifle fires really quickly, the needler, you got the super combine explosion, the plasma pistol, there's the overcharge to take off a shield, no matter how powerful it is, the shield gets destroyed entirely. You know, the assault rifle has lots of ammo, the pistol is highly accurate and powerful, the sniper rifle, same, but with longer range, but slower rate of fire, rocket launcher, shotgun, it's all balanced.
Mm-hmm.
There are weapons that you're always going to want in certain situations, but there's never a point in the game where having a certain weapon is totally useless. The Halo weapons are all useful.
Yeah, I know, but we've experienced that. You're better with all the weapons than I am. Like, there's weapons I just cannot use. My brain can't process the speed at which I need to be able to use these things. But yeah, they are all balanced, like you say.
Whereas in this game, it's like somebody's not tested it. I don't know, people might like to say, well, it's supposed to be part of the inherent random nature. And you're just like, yeah, but this is not the random nature that's the problem. It's the fact that you're not immortal when you're using your adrenaline surge attack. It's the fact that you don't seem to have any consistency in the attacks that actually balance the game.
Yeah.
You can't really deal with certain enemies because the dodge is limited to 3 dodges before he stops and goes, oh, that was a lovely wee dodge I just had there. That was nice. I'll dodge again now. It's like they could have easily
Lovely
fixed
wee
it and just
dodge.
didn't. Yeah.
Treat
Oh,
myself
that's
to
a
another
lovely wee
one.
dodge.
I'll treat myself to another one. I've been good. I've been good
I've
this
been a
week.
good boy. I'll have another dodge. Woo! It's just not consistent. Also, it's a fighting game in which you can lock onto an opposition, but there's no one-to-one. The only one-to-one thing you can do on any level is dodge, and even then, it's not actually a properly locked-on dodge. You can, when you lock on in a game and dodge, you can sort of like dodge around them, right?
Yeah.
In this case, if you lock on and dodge, you just sort of throw yourself in a random direction. I mean, it's a direction you're running in, but instead of jumping and sort of rolling around to get behind them, he'll just jump to the right-hand side, and if you can't see the bad guy, it breaks the lock. It's there's no counters, there is a parry, but it's the timing on the parry is essentially like I've been over this before. It's
Yeah.
essentially stupid because they'll just randomly not attack like a glitch, and then they'll attack, and the parry hasn't worked properly. And the second part is the story. They're sort of, it's like you want a game that bites into the story.
Yes.
I would say like Assassin's Creed 2 does that really well for me.
Okay.
That's why I really like it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite one. That really bites into the story and macerates it to death. Whereas in this one, it's more. It's like the people writing the story gummed it. They didn't really bite into it at all. They just sort of went, "I don't like it. I don't like it." It's just those are the two big problems I've got with it. And if the story is just non-existent and the gameplay isn't right, it's like what is there to do
Yeah.
other than to just look at it? I mean, there are tours that you can do where they take the combat out and you can run around certain areas of the map. In the game, like I think it narrates historical things, like a museum sort of trail type
That's
thing.
interesting. That's pretty cool.
But
But that's not what the game is. The game is a
but
combat game.
I haven't done that. I don't know I don't know whether or not it works very well. I don't know. But genuinely, that must be what the game is designed around because the gameplay is a bit broken and the story is gummed. So it must be the looks and the setting is what they went for.
Yeah.
And they got that, but they couldn't have been going for the others because they just didn't get them at all. Your turn.
Well, I've just been playing a little bit of GTA with yourself. That's all I've been playing this week.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
What else did I play?
Snipies. I was talking about sniping elites in the head in Halo 1.
No, we did that the week before. Did we do more?
No. No, that was Halo. That was the first mission. We did the third one.
You sit closer to the mic.
Sorry. It's supposed to be your part, so I'm not.
Okay, so sorry. I was incorrect, as per usual. I had also played a little bit of Halo. So I'll quickly talk about Halo first. So Halo, we basically...
No.
You want
GTA first.
Okay.
Trust me. Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
but
sir.
it's just-
I will talk about GTA. Yes, sir. I will do that first for you, sir.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, sir.
So GTA, we kind of just did a couple of missions. Because we've got this thing where I have got to choose a mission. I can't have fun. I've been instructed each time I play, choose a mission, choose a mission. There's no just running around for a little bit.
That is the fun of that game.
I know it is. I'm just taking the mick out of the fact that that's what you... As soon as I get it in, you're like, pick a mission. So we played... Was it 2 missions that we did? There was one with a tanker, and you yelled at me because the tanker came off the cabin.
I didn't know. Hold on. Come on. That's not fair. That sounds like I just shouted at you. I shouted at you because it was about to happen and I was trying to get you to stop so that it wouldn't happen. I didn't shout at you because it happened.
You did both.
No, I didn't. I shouted at you to stop, and then when you didn't
mean.
afterwards, I told you off.
He was
But I
being
didn't
very
shout
mean.
at you.
He was hurt. He hurt my feelings.
Can you not say that on the internet?
My feelings are hurt.
Like Antifa or somebody will type nasty messages to me, or I'll get a thank you
No,
note
there
from
was a moment where I was in the time where I was driving it, and you said hard left or something like this.
A left hand down.
I had no idea what that meant. I thought you wanted me to go left, so I was going left, and then you kept shouting it at me. I was like, okay, obviously this is wrong.
Because you weren't actually going anywhere. What was happening was you were just... I was watching because I could see the wheels, because the wheel movement occurs in real time. And I was in my car, and you were in the tanker truck, not a tanker boat. Or ship, sorry. And it was a lorry with a tanker on the back. And you would turn the wheel basically left and right, and I could see the wheels at the front just going left and right, and then you would reset them to nothing and reverse again. I'm like, stop! What left hand down means is that you turn to the left. You put the left hand wheel on the steering wheel and you pull it down, and it turns the steering wheel to the left.
Yep, I didn't know what that meant. I never heard that
So
phrase before.
right. So what did we have to do?
We had to blow it up. Did it not blow
No,
up?
that was the time when you disconnected it. I blew it up as well. I shot it. That was a different time. We had to try it 3 times, and then we got the tanker, and you disconnected it by doing basically a UE
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was going
at
to
60 miles
happen,
an
and I
hour or
got
something.
scared. So basically, what we had to do was we had to steal a tanker truck with like some gas or some alcohol on the back of it.
And we call it fuel.
Okay, and then we had to evade the cops and then lose the cops and then drive it to a location, which is kind of like a lot of what the
Yeah.
GTA missions are.
Yep.
And we lost the cops and then we were driving it to a place and then I got confused over what Tommy was trying to say to me. I was like, okay, fine. You get in the truck. You drive it. So Tommy got in and all of a sudden it
And what?
reset it.
Yeah.
Like we had just freshly stolen it. So we were literally right next to the place where we had to be at and then we had to drive somewhere else. You had to
lose
drive
the cops.
to lose the cops.
Yeah.
And then we were on top of a hill for like about 5
Yeah,
minutes.
I just drove up one of the hills just outside the city and parked on it, which was really hard to do and not lose the tanker at the back.
Yeah.
That was really hard.
So eventually we lost the cops and we were able to drive it to the place. But we
Because
both
I basically
started
did
it.
like
Sorry.
I basically did a 7-point turn on top of like a mountain
hill.
ridge.
Yeah.
It was really, really difficult.
But we both started the game up and we each got 500,000 like dollars or something like this. Did it ever explain as to why that was? Is it just
It'll
because we hadn't
be,
been is it just because we hadn't logged on in quite a long time?
No, it will be either get 500,000 from logging on during this time period. They have things like that where they do
Oh,
that,
right.
or it'll be if we did a job. The last time we were on during they do these things where you get paid at the end of a job.
Yeah.
They total everybody who does a job and gets money from it, or a certain type of job. And if you contribute, say for example, if they get everybody in the world to raise 1.5 trillion from doing jobs in GTA Online, you get money from having contributed. So we maybe got something from that.
Okay. Well, it was still nice to get that, and then I went on and I went to try and buy some new clothes. And by that point, you had logged in, so I didn't get to go shopping. I was very sad.
Shopping's what you do in your own time.
I enjoy it. I genuinely love doing stuff like that in games, especially like things like that in The Sims. That's one of my favorite things to do.
There's a possibility then that you'll quite like some RPGs.
Yeah, quite possibly. So we did that, and then
We did 3 missions.
We did one where we had to do a shoot up with the police and things like that.
Yeah, we had to kill people like that. They're not things. We had to rescue a guy from a barn and take him to a helicopter.
Yes.
And the first one was steal a car from outside a hotel.
Oh yeah, that's the one where I was like, oh, I'm going, and basically it's one of those ones where you have to evade the cops and then drive to a location.
Yep.
So we stole. I drove the car, and then I was like, oh, I know, I'll be sneaky, and I'll go down some like alleyways and things that meant for people. And I didn't realize it had an L-shaped tight turn.
And we were stuck. We couldn't reverse out either because we
were down some
stairs,
steps.
so I couldn't get any.
We
traction.
couldn't move, so we had to blow up.
No, you tried to turn to the right, and I would ram the back to hit you round, so you'd be able to. At least you could get out.
Yeah, but it was impossible because the corner was too tight.
No, you know what happened.
What happened?
It's a suggestive sentence now that I think about it, but
I blew up.
I rammed your behind. Yeah,
Bumper.
It's really a difficult sentence to say.
You were ramming the back of the car repeatedly.
With my own car. That's
yes.
better. And it basically caused your car to explode.
So we had to try it again.
I was just sitting there in my armored car, completely safe, and I noticed that you were on fire. And I just went, "Oh, this isn't going to work, is it? Because you're on fire." What?
Kaboom! It was a lot of fun. Genuinely, it was because we hadn't played that in such a long time, so it was really fun to actually just sit down and play some GTA.
It was really difficult though.
Yeah.
Just to remember the buttons, I got killed a lot more than I expected because I just couldn't. The natural button pressing wasn't happening.
Yeah, I couldn't remember how to reload. I was working on Halo rules. It wasn't.
Oh yeah, do you remember when you threw yourself out of the car?
Yeah.
We're steaming away from the cops after we'd rescued the guy from the barn, and Abigail does instinctively know that she needs to duck in the car
Yes.
so she doesn't take a bullet to the head. She just didn't remember the button. The button's A,
Yeah.
but you press Y and threw yourself out the car and just went, "Oh my god! I had to turn around, come back, cover you with the bulletproof car while you got in it." So it's a good thing we actually failed the first time round because you left the car in a state where it had no windows.
Indeed. And then the only other thing we played was Halo. Again,
Yeah.
we played that together, but we played through a couple of the in-game missions.
No, we played through one.
That's what I meant. But it was really difficult because we were trying to do, like you were saying, headshots on elites, and it's not working anymore. It used to take one shot, and now it doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, I think it might be a patch. They might have upgraded the difficulty on the elites head shielding, but I think it was the fact that we were trying to headshot the red type elites in the
Yeah.
head, and they knew we were there.
Plus
We were basically like combat sniping from 6 foot away. It was ridiculous.
we were basically trying to rescue Captain
Yes.
Keys
Yes.
from.
You must know the name of the bad guy.
Oh, my brain is blanking. All I can think of is elites, and that's not the word. The Covenant.
Yes.
Oh, that's what it felt like. So we had to rescue him, but I think we did pretty good, apart from the invisibility guy at that one stage where I kept accidentally blowing you up.
You kept grenade outing everywhere, and it was a nightmare because it was. I threw a grenade, so you threw one in, and then I was sitting thinking, yeah, but when my grenade goes off, it's just going to blast your grenade out the door, and yeah, it did it every time. And then there was one time where you were invisible, and I was about to shoot the elite so that you could shoot him just as you became visible, and I shot you in the head.
Yeah.
So I then covered you on your way back out, but it was fine because you chucked a couple of grenades at me later and blew me up.
Yeah.
It's because you get ambushed in this, so you set it up so that you've got a path that you protect me while I set it off, and you cover me on my way out, and then we fight them all in one direction rather than having them. We fight one direction rather than having them from every side.
Yeah.
But you decided that the best way to flush the enemy away from me was to chuck grenades
Yep.
in my path of retreat.
Yes.
So I'm jumping over grenades like Mario. Do you remember the name of the mission?
Rescue Captain Keys.
Remember the name of the ship that we're on?
Covenant 543. I don't know. I made up a name. The Covenant ship. All I know is Pillar of Autumn's the human one.
What do I tell?
Pillar of Truth. No.
The last word's fine. The truth and...
Reconciliation.
That's it. That's the name of the ship.
Yay,
They've got
smart.
they've got very biblical names, whereas the human ships have got sort of... Well, it's not biblical, it's poetic names, whereas the human ships' names have just got names that they've taken from other things. The Pillar of Autumn is the best named ship, really. Because you've got other ships just called, like, the Gettysburg.
It's a place.
The Athens. Yeah, I know it's a place. My point is that they've just taken other names. It's a very American thing to do.
Yeah. Well, that's what they did with, like, New England.
Whereas,
New
in
York.
fairness, our Royal Navy just takes place in HMS
Boaty
Clyde.
McBoatface. Do you
HMS
remember
Clyde,
that?
HMS Queen. Yeah.
I wish they had kept it that name. Instead, they changed it to the Sir David Attenborough.
Yeah, but that's just democracy in action. The people vote for something and then just
Didn't get
people
it.
just lied to them so they don't get it.
But anyway, yeah. So we had a really good time. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was lots of sniping. We managed to get it done in an hour and 20, which that mission on Legendary is pretty good. I think when I did that mission by myself, it took like 3 hours.
Jeez.
First time I did it.
I honestly
It's
can't
the
remember.
the hardest part in the entire game on Legendary is that the part with the elevator, and then you come up, and then do you remember at the bottom of the elevator there was like the space gravity lift. There was
Yeah.
like 63 waves of bad guys we had to
Yeah,
try.
there's
I
so
ran out of
many.
ammo. I ran out of ammo. But when you get to the top, the invisible sword wielding elites
That's so difficult.
that all coming into that tiny room and you've got nowhere to go. That's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
That my idea to make it easier was to drop the assault rifle and pick up the plasma pistol. Because taking the shields off in one hit is really the best you can do. Because it's genuinely nearly impossible. That's the hardest part in the whole game.
Can I talk about my stories now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's really just one story, technically. So,
You watch your stories in.
I watch my story. So, something very interesting happened in the world of gaming in the past week. Two very interesting things. One, that a copy, an unopened copy, I believe it was, of The Legend of Zelda for the SNES, for the Super Nintendo, sold for a record $870,000. So that's roughly around, I think, $620,000 pounds, the conversion rate. So this was genuinely amazing because in April the highest made for a game, a vintage game, was roughly $600,000. So that was pretty incredible. And then a couple days ago, something even more amazing happened. A copy of the Super Mario 64 from 1996, an unopened copy, sold for $1.56 million. And that is 1.1 million pounds.
I bought a copy of that game at the time. Obviously, I got one close to the time for a birthday or a Christmas. Never finished it. I recently bought a digital copy of the bundle thing.
Yeah.
Oh God, what was it called? Was it called All? It was called All Stars, I think it was,
Yes.
for the Switch, and I don't have a Switch yet, but I will eventually. And it was the one that was on. You have to get it in
Yeah.
by March or something like that. So I got myself it. It's the one. I think it's the one thing. It's the one game I bought myself all year, because it was on a time limit, and I did it basically just because I've not played those Marios, but primarily I never finished 64.
Yeah.
So I wanted to finish it. I
But
don't care if they re-release another version of it that's remastered again and even better. I just want to make sure I finish that game. And the other one would be Ocarina of Time. Never
But
finished that.
that is just unprecedented. There's never been a game sold for that much. That it's record. You had two record-breaking sales within a week of each other.
And the second one is nearly double the first.
Yeah, I think it's. I think, obviously, I think because Mario holds quite a special place in a lot of people's hearts. Like it's the epitome of games for a lot of people. Is Mario, Zelda being, I think, a close second.
Yeah, it is. I think if you asked a lot of general people what they knew about video games, a lot of them are going to point out Mario. They
Yeah.
get Mario. Sorry, they understand Mario. Whereas if you showed them a picture of Link, they might think it was Zelda.
But I think from what I understand, Super Mario 64 was the first 3D Mario. It was like a proper big 3D thing.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was a great, absolutely fantastic. I used to boot that game up all the time. Even when I was too young, I couldn't finish it. I wasn't good enough yet. And I would just replay bits over and over again. It was brilliant because you could replay stars.
You don't still have your copy, do you?
I do. I just don't have a Nintendo 64 to play it.
Sell it. Make a lot of money.
But
You could probably make about maybe 300,000.
no. But yeah, it's brilliant. It was a great game.
I just can't believe somebody would pay that much for an unopened game, because the people that buy these will never open them. The people who buy these will never open them, and I think that's so sad. I think it's like when people buy action figures. These things were made to be played with, and they're never going to get that. Like that's never going to. I find that really sad, in a way. Or maybe I've just been watching too much Toy Story.
I've still got all my toys from when I was a kid, but I played with them. But they're all up there.
I think I got rid of all my Barbies.
The one thing I don't have anymore is the Lego because it got broken.
I never got Lego.
That was my favourite. I love making the Lego.
We never had Lego in the house. I really wanted Lego. I really always wanted what was quote unquote the conventional boys' toys. Like I liked Lego, I liked Playmobil. I really wanted Meccano.
I know there's a lot of female video game players, but you would still have to say that if you had to pick one, it would be a boy's toy.
Yeah. I would still say at the moment it is very gender based. I still think a lot of toys are very gender based, especially if you go into.
I don't see a real problem with that, as long as you take away. See, I don't like the idea of taking away the whole idea that a doll is for a girl and a football is for a boy. I I don't because it's designed with that particular gender of child's development in mind, and we do develop slightly differently. But there's no problem whatsoever with it. I just think it's a bit healthier. It's a bit more accepting of the innate differences of people if you say that it's okay for a girl to play with a boy's toy and a boy to play with a girl's toy.
I don't
If you take the gender away, what you're actually doing is ignoring the fact that we're different.
I don't think it's ignoring the fact that we're different, but I just hate the fact that certain toys are more aimed at certain genders. I think that's ridiculous. I just do. I just think it is.
I don't like aiming them at the gender, but designing them with the gender in mind. As a teacher, you've got to take stuff like that into account. Because in education, we do not take it into account. And if you've had a look at exam rates, basically in the past 50 years, boys have gone like that and girls have gone up. Boys have gone down, girls have gone up. And it's because education is accidentally designed with favouring girls, because we don't consider gender when designing education. So if you're designing a toy, and the primary aim of the toy is to play, and the reason that children play is to learn, I think that you're on a track to succeeding in nothing if you try and make toys genderless, because you can't do that. It'd be like ignoring the age of the child you're targeting, or it just that doesn't make sense. They're either going to choke to death or you're going to give some stupid little toy that doesn't do anything to a child who's like 10. It just doesn't make sense. You can't ignore gender, you can't ignore age. It's just that it's okay for a girl to play with a toy designed to help the development of a boy, and vice versa. I think what we're maybe not. I think what we're maybe missing each other on is that I'm talking about development, you're talking about marketing.
I don't know enough about the child development. I'm gonna say that right now. But what I absolutely hated growing up was hearing this is a girl's toy. This is made for a girl. You can't play with that. That's a boy's toy.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
Like,
I'm disagreeing with that as well.
I remember one year I was genuinely gutted because this is going to sound incredibly pretentious and like whatever. I really, really wanted a mobile phone because all my other friends had one.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, child, not contemplating money or anything like that, but all I got was Barbie clothes, like just Barbie clothes, and I was like, I don't even play with Barbies anymore. Like I used to.
Yeah.
I used to play Barbies, and I used to like act out the weirdest storylines. Genuinely, like just bizarre, like old school grim fairy tale type of stories.
Nice.
That's the kind of thing I did. I was a weird kid. But genuinely, I always really, really wanted Meccano. Because I just loved the idea of building stuff.
I think what we're talking about is the difference between designing a child designing a child with a toy in mind, designing a toy with a certain gender of child, a certain age of child in mind, or a certain purpose in mind, and then rigidly enforcing who can play with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just stupid.
When you were saying designing a child, it just reminded me of there was a really, really weird version of Pinocchio that was made starring Drew Carey, and it was a musical. But
yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was having to fix something. You said musical designed by Drew Carey.
No, it was a really, really strange version of Pinocchio, starring Drew Carey as Geppetto. And it was a musical.
Yes.
Do you remember that? And he goes.
I never saw it, but they made fun of him for it on Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah. But I really liked it. Like I thought it was actually a really fun movie. And I remember Pinocchio runs away and Geppetto goes to find him. And there's a part where Geppetto goes to this town and there's an inventor who's invented a machine that can make the perfect child, like the couple's perfect child. So he's like blue eyes, blonde hair, little girl, 6 years old, whatever, like has freckles, doesn't have freckles. Stop! I'm trying to tell a fun story and you stop butting in. Stop it. So anyway, and like this, and there's like a big machine and there's like a slide and the child just comes out. He's like, "Hi, Mom and Dad." It just comes down a slide. No, it just comes down a slide and it's like, "Hi, Mom and Dad." And it's like the next one. We had a little boy, he's 4 years old, who really likes wildlife or something like this. And he comes down and he's like, let's go catch a squirrel or something like this. Oh, it was such a good movie. I remember really loving it. I bet you if I go back and watch it now, it's going to be terrible.
Hmm. I'm just going to say this, and I know it's going to cause you some sort of self-conscious issues, but there are times when you use phrases like English is not your first language, or Scottish isn't your first language.
No, do you know, honest, you honestly want to know why?
It's just when you say things like this, that's like you're Romanian or Italian, and it's
What do you
just,
mean this? Do you mean the word
it,
this?
when you say the phrase things like this,
Things like this.
but you'll apply it to people and items and events, and it doesn't
I
work
don't
like
know why
that.
I do
This
that.
things like this doesn't work as a phrase when you're applying it to certain things, but you do it all the time.
I don't know why I do that. It might be that somebody I know did that, does that.
Mm.
I think possibly my mum sometimes does it.
Is it? Do you know what it'll turn out? It'll be me.
No, I'll tell you what. No, genuinely, I wasn't. Well, I mean, I've told you the story. I wasn't allowed to speak slang in the house. I was never allowed to say Scots slang in the house.
It's not
Growing.
slang,
Well, I wasn't allowed to use Scots in the house.
right?
I wasn't allowed to say tea for dinner, dinny, Ken, all this kind of stuff. I wasn't allowed to. And then I also grew up watching a lot of American TV shows. That's why my accent is highly Americanized.
We're fixing that.
I've started to notice actually genuinely more and more my accent is becoming a bit more Scottish. I don't know why it sounds so American whenever I go to do this. I think it's because I'm very conscious of how I'm talking. I don't know.
Well, I see. The thing is that I've found it easier and easier since we started. I genuinely, like 10 episodes in, a couple of months, I just realized that what I was doing was talking to you, and other people were listening. So, as soon as I'm comfortable with anybody hearing it, all I'm doing is talking to you. I'm not talking to them.
No, I know
If I
that.
try and talk to the millions of people that could listen to this whenever they felt like, even though they don't, because whatever. But then I'll feel it. My chest will close up a little bit. I'll get a bit. But if I'm just talking to you, it's just a conversation. So that's what I focus on. Whereas, you're constant showman.
Do you think my accent's become more Scottish over the couple of years?
Yeah,
That sounded very unconvincing.
a little bit.
A little bit.
Too slowly. We'll need to increase the rate at which you're being converted to normal. I mean Scottish. I mean perfect. I mean what?
I'm already perfect. We're all perfect in our own way.
That's not how perfect works.
It is in my world.
Okay.
Is there
she's
anything
lost it.
else you wanted to talk about?
I don't know. I think we covered everything with Geppetto. Why did that come from? Yeah. There's been some leaked documents relating to Electronic Arts and FIFA 21 about trying to push people towards buying
More loot boxes.
loot boxy type things that they've got. We discussed their preview mechanic, which is actually a
Yes.
little bit not great. Whatever. In 2020, EA reported Ultimate Team modes represented 27% of its total revenue, about 1.5 billion.
Jeez.
Now, that might not. I don't think that's FIFA alone. I think that'll be. They've got other sports games that'll have Ultimate Team modes, but the biggest one will be FIFA.
Yeah.
They have moved to selling cosmetics as direct purchases, macrotransactions, as opposed to.
By cosmetics, do you mean like skins and things like this?
Yeah, well, it's like kits and
Yeah.
logos and stuff like that. Anything from £1.20 up to £6 for everything. I mean, it's
It doesn't sound big, but when you make a lot of them, it does add up.
well, that £6 for all these extras is 10% of the game
Jeez.
at full price. I mean, that's a microtransaction. It's not a microtransaction. A microtransaction is like 70 pence for. I paid 69 pence for the DLC of Force Unleashed, and it's probably still the best one I've ever played. Especially for cost.
Only 69 pence.
Yes, genuinely. That's when it was a microtransaction for a DLC. £6 for some skins.
That's
Achawa.
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Steering, yeah. It's the other thing I wanted to talk about because it was pretty good. Is you have played the Star Wars der Republik.
Many moons ago.
That's good because we don't want you to remember any of it because
Well, I
eventually it
don't.
will. Because eventually, if you'd kept playing, I had to stop you because if you'd kept playing, you would. I realized, oh no, you're going to walk straight into a spoiler for KOTOR and KOTOR 2. I must stop you.
No,
Um,
come back.
but do you have KOTOR 1 and 2?
I
'Cause you're
think I do
gonna.
because you said I did, so I think I do.
Do you have them on Steam? Do you want to check? Because I didn't want you to wander into those stories before you play them. But it came out in 2012, so it's 9 years old. It's coming up for 10 years old next year, and it's getting some a new expansion. I think the expansion will have new planets as well as new story, but it will also allow you to expand. It increases the maximum level, but it will also allow you to expand your character. So you can now use some powers and skills that are not attributable with your class.
I
Now,
can't remember my password.
I don't think it will be as far as to you using force powers if you're not force sensitive, but you'll be able to use some powers. So they've got some examples here in this Eurogamer article that I've read.
I can't
Combat
remember.
styles.
Sorry, I can't remember I cannot remember
Okay.
the password to my
if-
Steam account.
Okay, combat styles. So players can separate their class story from their gameplay style.
Mm-hmm.
So troopers can now wield sniper rifles. Sith Inquisitors can dual wield. I think there's a mention here that while you're in the Jedi Order, you can also pick dark side powers. Stuff like that. There's also loadouts, so that if you're playing against different enemies, you know how like in the Division you could sort of carry two weapons so you could quickly swap between
Yes.
them, or there's things like that where there's loadouts. So instead of individually changing every item of armor, equipment, and weaponry, you put that all in one loadout for fighting snipers, and then if you're fighting somebody that runs up and punches you in the face, you swap into a different loadout.
Yeah.
That.
Okay.
But apparently this is
Okay.
it's the Legacy of the Sith, I think it is. It's arriving at Christmas. It'll be free for all players,
That's decent.
and it's part of the 10-year anniversary year. It's just the first thing to come from that,
So
apparently.
is the anniversary year next year?
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Mm.
That's interesting. That sounds pretty fun though. The fact that they're making that free is really cool.
Yeah. Well, they have to because it's affecting your these combat styles affect how people play the game.
Yeah.
So it would be a bit ridiculous to attach that to one certain group of play. It's too big, I think, for them to manage having two separate. It's essentially they'd have two separate UIs and almost operating styles within the game if they didn't give it to everyone for free. But the story being free, if it is, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Don't know if it is, but
Is that
well,
all you have to
it should be.
Is that all you have to discuss today?
Yeah. It's interesting though because I think this is made by BioWare, who are run by EA, and this is a good story, whereas the other one is about EA being pure evil.
Oh, well.
Interesting, eh?
Who knows? Anyway, if you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, you can always subscribe to our channel. That'd be fantastic. Hit the notification button, hit that like button, hit the share button. You can also leave a comment down below, or you can email us at overshadow.shadowcast@gmail.com. The email address we left in the description box down below. And I think that's all that's left to say is to say thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you guys are all staying well. And I hope you guys come back.
Come back. Are they going to war or?
Come back to listen next week. So thank you. And goodbye.
That's the word we were all waiting for.
I already said goodbye.
Oh, I wasn't listening. Bye.
Why am I not surprised by that? That you weren't listening?
I genuinely was listening. I didn't hear it. It might have cut out.
Sure.
Well, you interrupted me. I was trying to tell a story about Halo and you moved it all on.
Goodbye.
Stealing my thunder.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.